What's going on, guys? My name is 8-Bit Preston and welcome back to the Sonic Retrospective. In the last episode we took a look at Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic's first outing on the Saturn, and definitely not a very good one for that matter. But in today's video we're going to be looking at another oddball in the franchise, being Sonic R, Sonic's first ever racing game and his first ever completely 3D game. And the reason why I'm taking a look at this game and not Sonic Adventure is because I thought we may as well talk about the last game Sonic had on the Saturn and his first ever experience going into a fully 3D environment, because it's only fair, and I do have quite a soft spot for this game, so I thought I may as well talk about it. But I'm not going to let my nostalgia or soft spots get in the way of talking about this game and praising it, because I've got a bit to say about Sonic R and it's not all positive. But just as a quick reminder, I'm going to be looking at the Sega Saturn version and not the Gems Collection version, because on the Gems Collection the game is a tiny bit different, I feel, after my experiences with both of them. So I'm going to go old school and talk about the original. So without further ado, for one last time we're going to roll around at the speed of sound on the Sega Saturn while we review Sonic's final game on the system. So if you've never heard of this game before or never seen anything about it, I'll go over it briefly. Sonic R is a foot racing game in the Sonic franchise, and the first ever racing game in the Sonic franchise. And while fair enough it isn't no Sonic and All-Stars Racing or All-Stars Racing Transformed or the upcoming Team Sonic Racing, this game did look to have some promise around the time, because Sonic, the world's fastest video game character, was speeding into the racing genre, which could have meant big things, because with a character as fast as Sonic, you would expect a racing game that is extremely fast paced with a lot of cool dynamics to it. But it turns out the world wasn't given what they wanted. Instead we got a polygon shaped 3D kind of open world racer. And while fair enough the graphical style is cute, the music is a little strange to say the least, and the replay value is minimum, the game still had a decent premise, and at the time I guess it was acceptable. I don't know, I wasn't born around these times. I wasn't alive in the 1990s. But from what I can tell, this game probably did some bits in 1990, just not as much as the game developers thought it would have done. But if I want to sum up the gameplay, I can describe it in 3 words: cute, clunky, and lazy. It's cute because of the graphical style. I actually adore this graphical style, which is actually what inspired the Sonic Mania special stages, and it's kind of nice to see them call back to a game like this. It's clunky because about the control, which I'll talk about later because I have a whole section dedicated to that. And then we also have lazy because the game didn't utilize what it could have done. I feel the game could have had bigger levels, better levels, and just overall a better polish, because as you can see the draw distance in this game is very, very little, and by the time you end up speeding around a corner it's probably too late and you're already going to bash your head on it. So while that is probably only something limited by the Sega Saturn and not the game developers' faults, it still is quite a shame. But without any more delay, I want to talk about the control real quick in this game, because I have a bone to pick with it. I'm going to describe this game's control in one sentence only. It's a piece of wank. If you've never played Sonic R before, I'm just going to tell you this now. You are saving yourself from control beyond belief. While this game isn't the worst controlling game I've ever played, it is still quite a poorly controlling game, especially for its genre. You wouldn't expect a racing game to feel as stiff as something like a very early first-person shooter, because quite a few of them felt really, really stiff sometimes. But then, at the same time, it's nowhere near as loose and slidey as GTA 4. It's like they took GTA 3 and then just took a wrench and just cranked it up to 100 in terms of its stiffness. It's ridiculous. I actually have no idea what happened here, because let's say you take a left and you're like, it's a really sharp left. The only way you're ever going to make that is if you start turning left roughly 50 meters before you take that turn, and you may need to jump. But then if you're just taking a regular right or something like that, you just need to jump. That's it. You can't make corners in this game unless they are either very small or they are just basically non-existent corners and just very slight curves. As you can see on the gameplay here, when you run around the side of a hill, you need to jump, because if you don't jump you're gonna get stuck, and when you go around something like this, you're gonna bang into the wall and just bounce everywhere and lose all your speed. and then when you try and turn on a corner like this on the bridge, you have to very carefully slow down and then do it again, otherwise you're not going to make it. It's a confusing situation, and you can even tell from the gameplay how stiff the control is. But if you want to see how stiff the control really is, you need to play the game for yourself. And it doesn't matter if you're playing the Gems Collection or the original, they are just as stiff as one another. If you haven't already noticed, there are two types of collectibles in each stage: the character tokens and the Chaos Emeralds. The character tokens require you to collect 5 of them in one stage, head to the goal and get first place, you will then be transported to a secret character race, where if you beat that challenger, you will unlock them and you can play as them at any time, at anywhere as well. And if you collect all the Chaos Emeralds and get first place, you will unlock that Chaos Emerald to keep. These tasks wouldn't be so bad if the requirements weren't so strict. Now, what I mean by that is, no matter what you do or how well you perform in the race, you need to get first place with the aforementioned collectible. And this wouldn't be so hard if the controls weren't so bad and the levels weren't so big. The reason why this is an issue is because if you're trying to make a sharp turn and someone overtakes you at the last minute, because the AI in this game seems to have way better turning than you for some reason, you're not going to win the race, and you're going to have to do it all over again. And if you're trying to get the character tokens, best way to do it is to either look it up or to go in practice mode or just do any type of practice and just look for them, because if you don't do that, then there's not a chance you're going to get them all on your first try. The Chaos Emeralds are very similar as well. You have to collect a certain amount of rings in the level, take them to a specific location, normally gates, open that gate, run through whatever was hidden behind it and collect the emerald. Again, it doesn't sound hard on paper, but once you put that pen to the paper, you're going to realise you will probably have a tricky time with this. Because if you don't have enough rings, you can't open the gate and there's no way around it, because the gate is what triggers the emerald to spawn. And sometimes you have to go to a certain point on the map to make the emerald spawn to grab it, which sometimes has a delay. So if you're trying to win a race with the emeralds, you have all of them else that's in the level, because there can be 2 a level, sometimes 1. But there's a majority of them have 2 emeralds, so there's no point in thinking, oh yeah, I can just get one and get away with it, because you will have to do it twice. Or you can get them both on the same run, whichever floats you bought, I guess. If you don't have the decimated amount of rings, or you go to the wrong location, chances are you're going to have to replay the entire thing again. Because if you don't get them on your first run through, like the character tokens, you're probably not going to win. Something to talk about quickly is the character roster in this game. You have Sonic, Tails, Amy and Knuckles as your starting roster. Sonic has a decent speed with a double jump. Very useful and everyone's go-to pick. Tails and Knuckles are a little bit slower than Sonic, but still relatively fast, and they have a glide ability. Pretty useless, but I guess it's just cosmetic. And then Amy drives a car. That is slow, can't jump. It's useless basically, don't play as Amy unless you want to lose. There are also unlockable characters in the game, and those include Metal Sonic, Tails Doll, Metal Knuckles, Egg Robo from Sonic 3, and Dr. Robotnik. These characters are basically the same as the other characters, but with different traits. Metal Sonic is the same as Sonic, but he can hover on water for short periods of time. Tails Doll is just Tails, I guess, he just doesn't hover as good. Metal Knuckles is just Knuckles, I mean, there's nothing special. Egg Robot is very similar to Robotnik, but he doesn't really have the best maneuverability. And Robotnik is Amy, but faster with weapons. Still not very good characters. There is also another unlockable character, but I'm not going to say who it is, and I'm going to let you guys discover it for yourselves. There is also a dynamic weather system in this game, which is pretty sweet actually. You can either have the levels sunny at night, winter, or in like a misty setting. The best one is hands down the winter one, because the water freezes and you can run on it, and it just leads to some really ridiculous shortcuts. I also want to quickly talk about the level selection in this game as well. The tracks include Resort Island, Radical City, Regal Ruin, Reactive Factory, and the secret level, Radiant Emerald. Resort Island is your basic starter track, very fun, best track in the game. Radical City is a decent track, quite confusing sometimes. My mind's just gone blank. I'm not cutting this out either because it increases runtime. Regal Ruin is the worst track in the game because it's full of twists and turns, and you all know what the turning's like in this game. It's a lot of shit, and it's just this track just doesn't work with the game, and collecting the emeralds in this is a piss take. You've also got Reactive Factory, which is a decent level, I guess, just not the best in terms of level design. And then you've got Radiant Emerald, which is basically this game's Rainbow Road, but extremely easy. And that's basically it for Sonic R. I mean, this game doesn't have a lot to offer because the game feels rushed. Similar to Sonic 3D Blast, the game isn't very big, and where in the areas where it is big, it does it in the wrong ways. The game encourages you to play the levels numerous times to collect the hidden goodies, and this can't really be a fun task. It can be frustrating, and it will also get you pissed off from time to time, as I definitely had my issues with these levels. Sonic R is a rushed product. It is very easy to tell, and while Traveler's Tales give it their best shot, the game isn't the best thing I've ever played, but at the same time it is a guilty pleasure of mine and many others. While the game isn't necessarily fun in numerous aspects, I can still feel the sunshine with this project, and I can certainly have a blast supersonic racing. Sonic R isn't the best game ever, and it is far from the worst. Is it the worst Sonic game ever? No. Is it the best? Not a chance. The game is merely decent. Sonic R today gets my approval score of 5.5 out of 10. It's decent. Thank you all for watching this Sonic retrospective. I know these are getting shorter and shorter, but I promise the next video is going to be a lot longer, because next time we're going to be diving into Sonic's first truly 3D outing on the Sega's new home console, and the last, the Sega Dreamcast. I'll see you all in the next video of mine. Take care guys, and peace out.